Okay, we are live. Okay, great. Hopefully everything works out fine. My name is Johnna. I also go by Grace. Sharon, you can call me either one. I just first of all want to appreciate you for your time and just being very patient with me tonight. I really appreciate that. And then the experience and the testimony and your expertise that you're going to share with us tonight. So, if you give me 1 second, I'm going to make sure that I put I'm gonna make sure I put this in the announcement section so people can easily get it. Okay. All right. And if you've seen any of our broadcasts, the first question we start off is, what is your relationship status?
Well, hopeful. No, yeah. I am single and looking forward to meeting Mr. Love. Um,
Good.
I'm like just really hopeful. I do believe that we're created to be in relationship with someone. It's not like that we're missing or apart, but there's truly I look at two people can accomplish so much more than one. We were never meant to be a one, but
Yes, I agree.
not only for the family unit that you have, but also for the grandchildren and the generations that come after you. So in the meantime of being single, I am using my time just inspiring a nation.
That's really good. And you said you're hopeful that there will be a Mr. Love. Are you interested in him taking your last name?
Yes, I really am because being an author and a speaker, it's really a challenge when you change your name and then, maybe that marriage ended. And then you're like, okay, now who is a woman? Who am I? That name walked out the door. And so my last name, Love, is my legal last name, but it came from a place of what is it that I really do? And everywhere
Mhm.
I go, I am sharing love everywhere I go.
Mhm.
And so we're like, that's your name. You are sharing love. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm sharing love. And of course, my last name
Oh, I love that.
and then my last name is easy to spell. No one seems to have an issue with it. They don't ask me, what's your ethnicity, where are you from? She's like, oh wow, I love that. And your name is that seriously your name? I am made, and I always say it is my heavenly father's name. I am sharing his love everywhere I
Yes.
go.
I love that. So did you change your last name to Love?
Legally, legally. Hmm.
Wow. Do you share your previous last name? Or is that not a part of your story?
No, it's just not. It's like he took his name, and it was difficult to have the name without the person because
Mm.
there was in part of that hardship is understanding when I walked into that relationship and that marriage, I was very confident in who I was, and I
Mhm.
was out to conquer the world, and it took 2.5 years, and in that time I forgot who I was. I was literally
Mm.
destroyed. I was ashamed of my own body from
Mm.
the rejection in that relationship. And it was to me, I look at when marriages end, let's celebrate. Let's celebrate. Because that person thankfully sometimes is removed from your life.
Yes.
They remove themselves or other people
Yeah.
remove them. But it's like to celebrate in the midst of struggle, everything. And I was just thinking today how grateful I am that I went through what I did because as a result, I now have learned so much. I'm in
Mm.
such a better place today than I was back then. And I just recently released on my website is the codependency quiz. And it's amazing
Mm.
a quiz that will really set a lot of people free because codependent traits are something that we do without even realizing, ugh, I'm doing it again.
Yeah, and I want to learn a little bit. I want to learn about that. But at first, I want to kind of ask you. Actually, I want to make a statement. That's
Oh,
why, because I have a statement and a question. I remember before I got married, my husband said he was going to take my last name. And when I got married, he acted like he never said that. So we're kind of just have our own last names as far as now. But as far as your last relationship, I didn't even know that you had been married before. Was that your first marriage?
no, it was actually, I was married the first time for 25 years. And then I was single for 7 years. The first marriage was very abusive, and it took me 7 years before I would even consider ever doing that again. And
Wow.
I went through a lot of counseling, from a year in the domestic violence support group, a year in a peer support group, because really, when you come through something like that, unless you work on yourself, you're going to walk back into it. And I was pretty
Mhm.
confident that I wouldn't be going back into that. And so
Mhm.
I started a group called Network for Love to help Christian singles learn how to do marriage right, to meet, marry, and just be on their way. And it was a fascinating group, and
Mhm.
met some great people. And long story short, man came in about 9 months later. Him and I were just good friends. I never saw myself married to him. He honored and respected and served and loved me so well that I would tell people in the group, hey, you guys, I want my husband, my future husband, to love me like this man does.
Mhm.
Long story short, we had a handshake engagement. Our first kiss was at the altar, and a week later it switched up. And I then apparently was the worst relationship he had ever had. And 2.5 years later, I'm ashamed of my own body. I'm not dealing with what's happening. And it literally switched from, oh my gosh, this is the person that I've always dreamed of prior to marrying him. And
Mhm.
then what, a week later, what happened? What switch happened? And the whole time, I didn't comprehend or even understand what was happening. I kept going, God, help me understand what I'm doing. I was always looking at me. What am I
Mhm.
doing wrong? Why is this not working? And it was so devastating. And yet it wasn't until after I'm out that I go through a codependency group. And then I commit to that. I learn
Mhm.
all about codependency.
Mhm.
And I'm like, wow, wow. They have terms of, well, it was abusive. Well,
Mhm.
you can use a verbally abusive communication style. They're not necessarily abusers, although the communication style they're using is verbally abusive. And so
Mhm.
to come against, well, you can't have a conversation with someone when they use, no, you don't think that. No, you are this. There's so many words and phrases of just shuts a person down.
Okay, well, Sharon, you actually just said so much in that short amount of time. I have so many questions. The first one I want to start with, because I didn't get any details about the first relationship except that it was domestic. You experienced a lot of abuse. Was it
Yeah.
physical abuse?
Well, there's actually eight or 10 points of abuse before physical and sexual abuse happen, and they were all happening. And
From your husband?
the first one, yeah.
He
And
was sexually abusing you?
oh, yeah. And it's a difficult place to be in, because
Mhm.
I remember being married thinking, do you actually like your partner?
Mhm.
And I just never thought in 25 years, I never thought about leaving. It just, I,
Mm.
this is life. This was my choice. I need to make the best of it. But I was always searching for information again about how to improve me, because
Mhm.
I'm not doing something right. I don't like in
Oh.
I don't like this man. I don't like him.
Mhm.
25 years. And so it's like when that ended, it was really a shock to me. It was breaking down of, I went through, mid to upper class, to living in my car, being homeless. And I
Mhm.
had two teenagers at that time. My oldest was at college. And it was a challenge to define who I was. I never had a career outside the home. I was the homemaker and the homeschool teacher.
Mm.
I was writing. And, um, and then I'm finding I have I'm totally cut off and I'm homeless and I'm in a car, no job experience, 2 teenagers, and what do you do? And I
Mm-hmm.
look back at that time, and it really is when you have absolutely nothing, it is the most defining time in your life, the most freeing time, because you realize you have everything you need. When everything is stripped away, you have
Mm-hmm.
everything you need. There's within us a survival mentality that's just like, I got this.
Right. Let me ask you a question. Because you mentioned you were in a relationship for 25 years. I hear a lot of people, especially it's really the children or adult children who many times glorify that their parents have been in relationships for 25 years, or my
Right,
parents have been in a relationship for 34 years, so that's all I've known. But a lot of times those years were one of the spouses were suffering.
right.
So glorifying being in relationships for that many years, yet it's not a happy one.
Right. And what
Um,
you learned before, because my parents were married for 50 some years and it was
mm,
an extremely dysfunctional relationship, but yeah, they were married. And
right,
when
right.
a lot of times people will go, well, how many times have you been married? And I'm like, to me, I dealt with the pride of, I don't want to say, man, I've been married twice. And, I dealt with, I feel like a failure. What's the matter with me? Would I
Mhm.
ever consider getting, I believe in marriage. I believe in two people working together. And so here I am, and I'm going, oh, this is difficult. This is a place that what am I overcoming? And then I'm looking at, well, wait a minute. You might not have been married, but how many people have you lived with? Each
Right.
person you've lived with, you've actually been married to. We're in
Mhm.
a society that we have so many relationships that get sexual, tear apart, get in. So it was as if my second husband had had so many relationships before that just leaving this marriage was no big deal. It's been done
Mm.
before. And I didn't, I kind of went back and forth. It's like, okay, was he dating by the time he left? Dating shortly
Mhm.
after? At what point? Because my ex is already remarried.
What,
And
both of them are already
oh yeah,
remarried?
oh yeah.
So it with the parts that you're comfortable sharing in your first marriage, how were you abused?
Um, it was one of those where there was so much from financial to emotional to very passive aggressive physical abuse.
Financial abuse, how? What is
Um,
that?
like you're the one that you're the reason that all of the financial issues we have. It's definitely not him, or it's not. Everything was put on the blame. And
Oh,
the very
okay.
last part was, turn over all the checkbook, the cash, the credit cards, turn over everything, and
Mhm.
submit to my authority or leave. And I'm like, okay, here you go. All I knew with the first marriage was I knew myself and the kids needed space and time to heal, even coming out, because we look at sometimes when a person is being abused. Now,
Mhm.
you can be abused emotionally when your partner simply is not there. They don't, there's nothing
Yeah.
connecting. That's an emotional abuse. There's intimidation, from from screaming, hitting things to, kicking the pets emotionally. That's
So specifically, what
yeah.
was the intimidation that you experienced?
Um, it was just besides hard to even explain. It was something that when the person's in the room, you're scared. You're just scared. You're not able to be comfortable, and so it's like I would go and I would see a counselor, and they'd explain to me, Sharon, the state of mind that you're in. This is a serious matter, and for me, because it was just normal, I didn't think
Mhm.
it was serious. I would
Okay.
always ask, help me learn how to survive. And I remember one counselor saying, Sharon, all you can do is survive in this. You will not
Mhm.
thrive because a marriage takes
It does.
two people loving and respecting each other. And it's not, you're in a marriage where you're trying to fix it. You're trying to do this, but you don't have a partner who's here with you who wants to fix or do this.
Right.
The the marriage ended, the 25-year one. I'd saw
Mhm.
counselor that said, Sharon, stop trying to fix it. Let it fall.
Mm-hmm.
And that was the most helpful at that point advice that I've ever been given. And it was like a weight lifted off of me.
Mm-hmm.
Honey, I think it's time that, I actually wrote my autobiography from the first marriage.
Mm-hmm.
My autobiography is Live the Life You Choose. And writing the autobiography helped me to heal as I
Mm-hmm.
understood what I was going through.
I
And,
mean, yeah, go ahead.
and so I look at no matter what you go through, it's your story. Now, my story is different than his story. He will have
Yeah.
a different view of how he saw even me. And,
Yeah.
and so then, like you had mentioned, then the kids are the byproduct of this.
Oh yeah.
I have three kids.
From the first one.
Yeah, my middle one is married, and I have five grandbabies.
Mm-hmm.
My oldest one was married for a short period of time, and then her husband left her. Or yeah, her husband left her, and she's kind of like been different boyfriends and just not committed to the relationship she's in. And she's been in
Mm-hmm.
this relationship for like 6 years and still not committed. They're
Okay, so the people who you have, are those your grandkids who are in the background? I don't hear anyone, but remember when we were talking before?
Oh no, that's a friend came over for the weekend. And
Oh, okay, okay, okay. I don't hear anything.
yeah,
But there are a lot of different key points that I want to point out. I mean, we've got to talk again because you've got so much to share. But the first point was a surviving
mhm,
versus a thriving marriage. A surviving marriage is when one person is trying. So you're all just going to survive. And the other one is thriving when both people are working on the marriage together. And I see a lot of people who are in surviving marriages because the woman says, well, I believe in marriage. I don't,
yeah,
we said till death do us part,
right.
but you're
But it's killing
suffering.
you. It's killing
Yes,
you.
killing you on the inside.
There, and the physical aspect of the emotional stress is literally destroying you. And
Yeah, yeah.
it was like you have all sorts of physical problems going on. It's not because you have physical problems going on, but the stress is literally killing you. And so
Right.
I encourage you, if you're watching this, that you take a mental look, step back and look at your life mentally and emotionally and physically. How are you doing? Are you showing up? Are you authentic to who you are? Do you have
Mhm.
someone that you can tell your story to? If
Mhm.
you had it your way, would you be there? And again, I am a proponent for marriage. I believe
Mhm.
in marriage, in two people working together. And
Yes.
why do I believe that? It didn't happen for my 25 years and then
Yeah.
short, brief 2.5 years.
So, but tell me about that 2.5 year because I want to hurry up so we can get to the
Okay.
codependency part. Um, the 2.5 years. You said how long did you date him?
I knew him about 9 months, and I felt like we were really good friends, best friends. I felt like
Okay.
I knew everything about him. I had never in my life been loved so much, spoken of so kindly, respected.
Uh
It
huh.
was amazing.
How long did you date him though?
Well, like I said, we just knew him. So dating part, maybe about 2 months, but
Okay.
we were in the group that I created called Network.
Right.
And so you're learning how to do marriage rights sitting next to someone that you think is on the same page. He
Uh huh.
definitely wanted to have, God honoring marriage and this and that,
Okay.
saying all the right things. And
Okay. And then you got married.
yeah, and a week later, I'm
What
being
happened?
I'm I don't even know what it was. I'm now being called the worst relationship he's ever been in.
Just
I'm
after 1 week.
1 week. I'm being called names and I'm like, whoa, don't ever call me that again. And it would just argue with me and I'm just going, I can't seem to talk to you. Let me write down on a piece of paper what we deal with. But from the get go, there wasn't a single issue that we could actually resolve together.
So marriage night, what happened?
And it was kind of fine the first week. It wasn't until we got back, it was just him and I. There wasn't any distractions of, here we are in home life. You don't have a job. He didn't have a job. We're in my apartment. And so maybe it was setting in that here's where he is. It was almost like he went from, I didn't, afterwards there, I would ask him, could you compliment me? It's like, well, you can't compliment someone unless it's genuine. It wouldn't be genuine. And I'm like,
how old were you in that marriage?
Hey, I've been single now 3 years. So this ended about 3 years ago.
Okay, it ended about 3 years ago.
Yeah. And it literally, I was so shocked because I wasn't prepared for this to happen. I was assuming that my marriage would be like prior to marrying him, where I just love this guy. We just hit it off. I had a lot of synergy together. So I had no idea what was happening, or I didn't have the tools at the time. I was not teaching the group codependent traits. What codependency traits are you using? Because your codependent styles or coping mechanisms are going to attract the person who needs them. They need
Explain that.
And so if I'm a rescuer, I'm going to attract someone who's needing rescued. Or passive, I'm going to attract a rescuer. I am a codependent. It's an independent worldly success where I'm going to just do it on my own. That person is going to attract a worldly failure of someone who blames everybody for where they are in life. And so just by becoming aware of what traits are codependent, then I can go, okay, I have a tendency. My tendency at times, I could be passive. Oh, whatever, it doesn't matter. And then I have to stop and I go, does it matter to me?
Right.
Yeah, it does matter. And so then I can also, because I know that I have more of the traits of independent worldly success, then I make sure that I focus on synergy, bringing people together, working, because it's amazing when you work together and build each other up, you accomplish so much more. And codependency, I wasn't teaching that in the Networking for Love group. And the idea with Network for Love is, I know great people, you know great people, let's introduce our great people. Let's bring in marriage-minded singles, teach them how marriage works, how to fight fair, how to communicate. And now I realized I needed to be teaching them what's codependency, what traits do you have, what does she have? So that's why the two of you are being attracted. And also, what is verbal abuse? What's stable? Like, you are lazy. Well, wait a minute. The moment you are comes in, another person is trying to define who you are. You might have granted, we're laying on the couch, but does that make you lazy?
Right.
And who's judging whether you're lazy or not? And so most you are statements, you feel, men think, you do not know what they think. You do not know what a woman feels. And if she feels excited one moment and doesn't like you the next, you still don't know what she feels or thinks, because we're constantly changing. And so the you are statements really frames people in a point of time. And then you start treating them as if they are XYZ. So the main two things I had needed to teach was codependency and verbal abuse. And once you learn about it, your ears are very attuned to hearing it up. Wow, that's verbally abusive. Oh, that's this codependent trait. And it's like, wow, our codependency is taught from all of our Disney fairy tales, rom-coms. It's taught everywhere as normal.
Yeah, as you're speaking, I'm like, I want to take, because when you're speaking, I'm over here like, hold on, where am I codependent? Oh, wow, that's why we attracted each other in that area. I want to take this quiz.
Right. And so then the quiz is, and it's different if you've ever read a book on codependency. A lot of us have heard about it, but if it didn't relate to you. So after all the stuff with my first marriage, I remember someone giving me a book on codependency, and it did not relate to me. I'm like, no, I'm not
Mhm.
that. I'm not that. And then I learned later on that, well, actually, there's 6 types of codependence, and it
Mhm.
depends on which type you are, that the author is, that they're writing from their experience. And
Mhm.
so I had gotten permission.
Yeah.
I got permission from Troy Reiner with Faith Therapy, who really did an amazing job of identifying here's the 6 types, because each type has a different recovery plan. If a
Mhm.
passive, and I can sometimes be passive, I have to then actually make a point to choose what I prefer.
Mhm.
Whatever. Because whatever, passive, codependent. You're taking your responsibility for making a choice for you and shifting it to someone else.
Yeah.
Oh, is that what I'm doing? It's so much easier. This is a codependent trait. I'll just have them do it for me. I won't have to decide. Oh,
Mm.
that's passive again. And so it's really about getting to know who you are. And behind each trait, there is something going on. And
Yeah.
like my idea isn't worthy, or I'm feeling insignificant. What is it? I'm just lazy. What now? What is it? Well, I
Mhm.
can't make the wrong choice. Like that's a codependent trait of a worldly failure. They're
Mhm.
so afraid of failing and rejection, they just don't move forward. So if you look
Mhm.
at someone, they're in the same job, they've always been in the same job, and you're like, what are you doing? You hate your job.
Mhm.
Worldly failure, the codependence of those traits. And so as you take the quiz, and again, it's a free
Mhm.
quiz to take. So on my site, you'll find it up at the top. Take the quiz. You can
What's
read.
the name of your site?
Oh,
I'm gonna put it right here. Oh, what happened to it?
PriorityDrivenLife.com. And the whole
Oh,
goal was my
it's
whole
called what now?
priority
Okay.
drivenlife.com. Because the idea is your priorities right now are driving the choices and decisions you're making, whether it's life, love, finances, and faith. Your priorities
Mhm.
drive everything. And there's situations that will come in that will just, that's no longer a priority because this is a priority. And so it's learning again about who you are, but the core foundation is what codependent traits do you have?
Mhm.
And I'm really excited because it's like at the end of the the quiz, you're going to find out which one you are, and then you'll hit the recovery plan. And it is spelled out. It is a lot of work because if you're serious to recover, it's going to be some time about you reflecting on who you are, because it'll be a long list. Here's 56 characteristics of
Mm.
that particular codependent.
Yeah. So when you take this quiz, you're taking it with the mind frame of not rushing because
Right.
this is going to take time. So don't be in a rush to fix something that's damaged. It's going to take time. And before, because it's almost our time is almost up. I do have one question before I give you the last statement you want to make. How did the divorce affect the children that you had in the first marriage? How
Um,
did that affect the
the
children?
youngest one had he's 28, 29. I think he just turned 29. He
Hmm.
had a harder time thinking that anyone would stay with him. He does have a girlfriend now, and they're so sweet and cute. And so it's taken him that long because he looked at, dad didn't stay with you, this guy didn't stay with you, and mom, you're an amazing person. Why would
Yeah,
you stay with me?
he
And
didn't
so
get it.
yeah, and so that part, he's worked through that. The middle one, of course, she's married, and my 5 grandbabies. It's
They
affected.
all came from one?
Oh yeah,
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 she had 5 kids? Oh, good
yeah.
God.
They wanted to have 7 to 9, bless their heart. Stopped at 5, and I'm just like, you're crazy, crazy.
Well,
Um,
she's good.
and then my oldest is struggling with in a relationship with no commitment.
Okay,
And
got
so,
it.
and I look at that's part of how she grew up with her dad and I in that dysfunctional relationship.
Mhm,
And
mhm,
because we can see from the outside looking in, going, what are you doing? But she can't see it. And so,
mhm,
it's, okay, everything that you go through, help
Mhm.
you become who you are. So no
Mhm.
matter what the struggle is, I was
Mhm.
just thinking today how absolutely grateful I am that I went through what I've gone through, because now
Mhm.
I am reaching over 10,000 plus people a month,
Mhm.
encouraging and inspiring them to live their best life.
That's
Um,
great.
wouldn't have happened had I not gone through what I went through. So
Yeah.
you are worth that. You know, the people that I am touching, the people that are being set free or who are
Mhm.
creating healthy relationships, you're worth
Mhm.
it. And
Right.
to the point where you're so grateful that that happened, I was just thinking today, one of these days I'm probably gonna, send, his mother a thank you. Thank you. Oh my gosh. And to send him a thank you. Thank you.
Right.
Because what you meant for evil, God meant.
Right.
And
Exactly. That is so true. Ooh, that's the last statement because that I mean, you got so much good stuff to say. I mean, you've already said a lot, but you haven't even fully elaborated on it.
we could be
Um,
for a long time.
yeah, we're gonna have to do this again. What you meant for evil. I'm thinking of a situation right now, not that my husband did, but somebody else. But what you meant for evil, God meant for good. And I think that's a good statement to leave out on if you had, unless you had anything else you wanted to say.
And that is, if you can realize that there is going to be a point in your life that you're going to look back on that hard point when I was curled up into a fetal position, crying, going, God, I don't know how to do that. I look back from this point where I am now to that time, and I think, oh God, even then you had a plan. You
Mm-hmm.
plan of greatness. And God, I believe He is working greatness out in every one of us. He knows what it's going to take to get you there. So trust the process, trust
Mm-hmm.
the pain, release the pain and really embrace who you are. But yes, every one of your struggles, imagine one day you're going to look back and go, oh, thank God, thank God, thank God. That
Yeah.
country song, thank God for unanswered prayer.
Okay, come on. Thank you so much, Sharon Love. I mean, you're sharing love. I love the name. It's amazing. It's your father's name, like you said. So thank you so much for just sharing your testimony, giving us your expertise, introducing me personally to codependency, and letting us know about the free quiz we get to take on your website, the Purpose Driven. Is it Purpose Driven Life?
Priority driven.
Priority. I'm sorry, I'm thinking about Rick
Yeah,
Warren.
Rick
Prior-
Warren. You have to have a purpose, but all of my life I've been teaching people your priorities. The reason you are where you are is because your priorities have pointed you there, regardless of whether you have a purpose or not. Your
yeah,
So let's look
that's
at
so
the
true.
priorities. Yeah.
Right. But anyway, we're going to have to definitely talk again. And for everyone else who watching, we will see you on Tuesday. Thank
Okay.
you.
Bye.
Bye.